Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath,
the podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grunbaum.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
How are you, Diana, this fine evening?
I'm doing quite well, Polina. How about yourself?
I'm going good.
We're back again.
We are.
Yes.
Like clockwork.
It's official.
So today we're talking about The Apartment, which is my choice. It's from 1960. And it stars Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, a young Shirley MacLaine.
Very, very young Shirley MacLaine.
Very young, with like a lovely pixie kind of haircut.
I kept
going on.
staring at her, knowing full well, like, I know late 1990s Shirley MacLaine, but this one I have to take in.
Yeah.
There's so much to,
There's so much
to adjust to and learn from.
She's so lovely. I went through a period of reading all of her autobiographies.
How many are there?
Like 3 or 4.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
I don't know.
Well, okay.
They get a little woo-woo. The early ones are actually really interesting.
I've been hearing woo-woo lately, and I'm just wondering, is everyone's definition of woo-woo different?
Probably.
Okay. So
they get like new agey.
New agey. Okay. Well, that's kind of like what I was thinking.
I did a lot of like reading of actors' biographies.
Okay.
For a while when I was like really serious about theater. Anyway, I saw this movie in my early 20s.
Okay.
I saw it with my husband, my now husband. He was then just my boyfriend. And because he really liked it. And I got it from La Video in San Francisco on 9th. Oh.
Rest in peace.
They actually are kind of hanging on in a weird way, like in the back of a bookstore.
Oh.
But they were like, which bought them, thank you, Green Apple. But they were like, it was great because they were arranged not by like, they were arranged by like weird like genres and subgenres. So it was kind of fun to find a movie.
Autobiographical?
They do have they have a biography section.
No, like
obviously.
High Fidelity.
Oh, yeah. No, it was.
So if you want to see the apartment, you have to know that the owner of this shop bought it in 1973
for
a present, but didn't give it to them
them for personal reasons.
Sorry. Okay.
So I saw it actually. My then boyfriend, now husband, introduced it to me. I'd never seen it, which is crazy. It's like it won an Academy Award. It's definitely one of those favorites. Lots of people's favorites, including mine. I really love this movie.
You do favor the Academy Award winning. And not like me, where it's for special effects and or costume design of the hobbits.
I do enjoy a good costume design winner
of hobbits.
Whatever.
No, costume design. That actually sounds very Room with a View. No.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I was like, I think
mine's more like sound mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yours.
It's true. It's a bit. Yeah, it's a bit. But I was I did not see this movie as a teenager. I was on a VHS. Yeah, and actually I saw it. This is kind of embarrassing to admit now, but
go on.
my husband and I were really, really good friends, so we knew a lot of each other's romantic interests. And one of the reasons that my husband chose this movie is, and I remember him talking about this girl that he was seeing and interested in, and it kind of fizzled out like around the time that we got together, like very, very close. It all was happening at the same time. And she was super, super into Jack Lemmon. I was for some reason about to say Don Lemon. I don't know why. The CNN anchor.
Oh,
like, no, very different person.
Give me the facts, Don.
And
she was into Jack Lemmon.
She's super into Jack Lemmon, and I was like, I love Jack Lemmon too. And I remember, like, I'm still kind of intimidated by her. She was kind of like locally well known. She's a writer. She wrote like a nightlife column. She was just, and I was just like finishing up school and sort of neurotic and wanted to be a documentary filmmaker, like works in a bar, like whatever, all that crazy like early 20s trying to find yourself shit.
Early 20s, late 30s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't quite found myself. Don't work in a
Post-midlife
bar.
crisis.
Yeah, there's always something. And
Grass
I
is
think
greener.
yeah, and she was like, she's like older than me.
So she had a head start. No
so
fair.
she had a head start, totally no fair. But she had like a cool job, and I was like, I'm never gonna have a cool job. And yeah, that's true. I have a nice job now.
Okay.
But
work, theater manager and
yeah, but when you were doing it's like all seems kind of crazy. But so anyway, I think I've had that thing of like I liking this movie, like almost dissecting it for like what is a cool person like about this movie the first couple times I saw it.
really okay.
But I loved it. Like I always loved it. I'm happy that it got introduced to me, but and rewatching it is a total pleasure. Though it's definitely like it's I mean, it talks about a problematic topic.
Hang on a second. I got to hold you down and slap you. Wake up, Polina. Whack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So he gets slapped. And also, at one point, I don't think I've actually gotten to the description of this movie. I just realized.
Oh, well, no.
Whoops.
This one got deep. So,
Yeah,
this
it got
is
deep fast.
No, it's a deep-rooted relationship. Go for it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Insurance worker CC Baxter, Jack Lemmon, lends his Upper West Side apartment to company bosses to use for extramarital affairs. When his manager, Mr. Sheldrake, played by the fabulous Fred MacMurray, there's a lot of great character acting in this movie, begins using Baxter's apartment in exchange for promoting him, Baxter is disappointed to learn that Sheldrake's mistress is Fran Kubelik. Shirley MacLaine, the elevator girl at work, whom Baxter, I don't think it should be whom. I'm terrible at grammar, but I just don't think that should be whom. Whom Baxter is interested in himself. Soon Baxter must decide between the girl he loves and the advancement of his career. So other kind of important details about this movie is it takes place basically in the winter between and a lot of the action kind of takes place between Christmas and New Year.
Okay. Hey, lots of the movies we've done have had that.
Yes.
When Harry Met Sally.
Yes.
While You Were Sleeping. Some other, something that starts with a when or where movie.
Yes. Yeah. We do a lot of, I feel like Christmas is right because people are off, or I don't know, there's a lot of emotions around Christmas.
While you were in the apartment. With whom did you get the cutting edge? Is it who or whom?
While you were in the apartment, was there a room with...
We didn't watch The Room.
Possible, was there a view with that room?
No, let's just watch The Room.
Okay.
But not Room. Oh, that movie's hard.
Yeah.
No, okay, sorry. Okay.
Not. Excellent book, though.
With whom the room?
Yes.
Never mind. I'm all antsy.
Yeah. She's like, we could do this forever, but let's not. So what'd you think?
So, difficult to hear you say, like, this is everyone's favorite movie. Of course. I'm like,
I mean, like,
well, no.
Critics.
Oh, the critics.
I also love this movie, and rewatching it did not dull this.
And as we were mentioning before, it's also like IMDb's favorite and
it's
AFI's
got 94
favorite
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, lots of movies have 94.
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's not true. Okay. I had never seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm. Did you know anything about it?
Well, the reason that I did know anything about it is because they covered this movie on Your Fave is Problematic podcast.
Oh my God, did they?
They did. It actually is one
How did I miss that?
Well, it's one of the host's favorite movies of all time. I believe it's Kristen's.
Oh my God, I have to listen to that.
Yeah, so
I feel kind of silly for not listening to it. Because sometimes I listen to like things that we cover on their like if they've covered it in their podcast.
Yeah, but when you subscribe to like 100,000 podcasts,
yeah, that's the problem.
It's kind of hard to remember what's
Sorry,
happening.
Kristen.
No, I don't think. Well, first of all, I don't think that her feelings are hurt that much. Second,
probably not.
I also don't remember whose favorite it was. So, as someone who did listen to the episode, shh.
Did you listen to it like a long time ago?
No, well, whenever it came out, so like the week of, the week after. They went through the description of it, and it sounded really interesting. I read a little bit about it, but it's kind of funny to hear them talk about this, like, oh, Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. But I have Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine. You know,
Who's your Jack Lemmon?
who is my Jack Lemmon? You mean like my vision of him?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what's even harder. I was talking to Ryan about this after I'd finished the movie. I'm like, I don't know if I'm too familiar with Jack Lemmon. He's Jack Lemmon. I'm doing the air quotes as I say it. But
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he does a lot of work with Walter Matthau. And also, but I think my Jack Lemmon is caricatures of characters of his. So I think my biggest exposure to him is one, the character Gil from The Simpsons, who was always down on his luck, a la Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, yeah.
And also, there are great old school auditions, parodies from Saturday Night Live. It's like the lost footage of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's
yeah.
actually Kevin Spacey doing a Jack Lemmon
Oh,
impression.
yeah, yeah. No, I've seen that.
Where he is Chewbacca.
Yes.
So,
That's hysterical.
yeah, can somebody tell me what one of these Chewbacca things is?
I don't know if I adopted. I mean, I always enjoyed Jack Lemmon because I really like Some Like It Hot, which is I think the either right. Oh my god, I know this because I looked this up as either right before or right after.
Okay,
I should know this. Because I really, for a long time, Some Like It Hot was like my favorite movie, and then I saw it recently. I don't know, couldn't quite. But
is it like Tootsie?
No, it's kind of. I don't. It's
so not a man dressed up like a woman.
No, it is a man dressed up like a woman.
So it's not like Tootsie.
I'm saying I think
No, I know.
it doesn't. Yeah, it is actually. It is much like Tootsie because it's a man dressed up as a woman for a job. So actually, it's a lot like Tootsie. Wow. It's very funny, but it's also it's strange.
Okay.
Like rewatching it.
I think I remember there was a clip of Some Like It Hot played in one of my junior history class, but it was meant for a context of something for the period.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of
it was very periody. No, I like really, really, really like Jack Lemmon, but I sometimes I wonder, did I like blow up my love Jack Lemmon because I thought it was like kind of cool to like Jack Lemmon? No, but I really, really genuinely love Jack Lemmon.
Well,
I now realize I've seen a ton of his movies, and Glengarry Glen Ross, of course, is like heartbreaking. And this movie, when I saw it, was so funny.
Yeah,
and I rewatched it. It's so funny and so sweet and so sad. It's so sad.
There's a lot of it that's just like, wow, really?
I actually read a review that said when it came out, it was considered like a comedy.
No, it's still technically considered a comedy.
But rewatching it, it's like all pathos.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Just back to The Simpsons again. I was just thinking, I'm watching this movie, hits on a lot of really deep things, i.e. suicide. Here we are again talking about suicide on our podcast. And then a Simpsons quote popped into my head. Another problematic person, Mel Gibson as the character. He's just like, no, you got to make these movies. Lethal Weapon taught us that suicide is funny. And then I'm just like, oh, Jack Lemmon taught us that suicide is funny. Yeah. No, it's not. So,
but actually, like, I feel like they deal with the suicide part with like
respect.
Yeah, like I feel like actually they deal with it. Yeah, I feel like they actually deal with it within the context of the movie as like a real thing.
I'm also still digesting the movie.
Oh, I see.
Because now that I really think about it, of course, not only is she losing, she's not losing, but she's once again, there's the possibility of getting the love of her life back in her life, despite the fact that they went through a breakup. She also has to deal with losing him. And in addition to that, him lying to her. And it's the holidays. Yeah. So if you talk about how the suicide rate goes up during the holiday season, that it's all kind of, again, I'm digesting right now.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. We're here to digest. I think that
it actually gives a little bit more clout to why it happened rather than just I'm sad.
Also, I think that for me, like the love story, like rewatching it is, you know, because when I saw this movie, I'd had jobs.
Plural?
Yes. But I hadn't worked in just a regular like office,
Okay.
like a corporate office.
Movies like this create that whole office party mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, how come office parties are never like that? I think it's because
That's probably best.
No,
that is
I-
the
no.
most freaky office party
I think
I've
that's
ever seen in a movie. And I worked in internet startups in the 90s. Our parties were insane. They were probably like that.
well, I think
They were like that if I
That-
could remember them.
I think that portrayal is what has made HR so paranoid about what could possibly happen. Everyone is on such high alert now that no office Christmas parties are going to be like that ever.
Yeah. This is the movie for which HR departments were created, from which a million HR departments were created.
Never mind office
Yeah.
Christmas party. That just doesn't
I mean,
count.
it's very mad. Like, I don't know if you saw Mad
I
Men, but it's
didn't.
like definitely there's a lot of these themes. But this idea that like, I thought that a lot of why she killed her isn't just because of the boyfriend, the you know, kind of love of her life, but more the because they hadn't been dating for very long. Because remember, they broke up. They broke up for the summer.
The wife went away and the kids were at like camp or something.
Yeah,
and
they
so
went away for the summer.
Yeah. I want to go away for the summer.
Yeah, but it's like people still do that on the East Coast. So they would have like a summer place that they would go to, and then you would have summer Fridays, and you would leave early on a Friday.
Right.
So there was like the guy who stayed home. There's a lot of this. This happens in Mad Men too. But there's a lot of movies that sort of take like Some Like It Hot takes place around this like idea
Okay.
too.
Yeah. No, you say Mad Men. Have not seen it, but of course it's, you know, in the
Yeah.
cultural zeitgeist. So I have the whole, oh yeah, the 3 martini lunches, the smoking in there, the sexual harassment,
The sexual harassment, the completely acceptable sexual harassment.
the hey buddy boy, buddy boy, buddy boy,
Yeah, the like
the
men
locker room
can get-
talk,
yeah.
but in the office
Yeah.
before I got moved to the locker room.
And then the drinking in the office. But yeah, so
The whole time.
by the way, people still talk like this in offices. Like, I mean, I luckily not the one where I worked, but ones I've worked in.
Oh, I'm sad now.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, I guess I'm just lucky enough to where it's not when I'm around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, this is a little extreme. I mean, obviously,
like to
obviously,
think so.
I'm not saying that all office. I'm just saying that there are definitely these offices, and we can't really pretend that it's never like this.
But to be fair, though, this office was like how many thousands of people in a building?
and that's the thing. There's great shot. There's this great shot. He's working in the office, and it's not. There's no cubicles. There's just desks, and they're just lined up. And so there's this thing where it looks like it's infinity.
Yeah.
So everyone, like the whole thing is that you have to get your own office and a key to the executive washroom. I mean, it's just fantastic. Anyway, but I think one of the things that it sort of talks about is not just this love story between them, but this whole idea of
The corporate grind.
of the corporate grind and this kind of acceptance that these are the games that you have to play. And I think a lot of what she's reacting to when she decides to take these sleeping pills is also that it's not only the disappointment of her lover, her boyfriend, but also just the disappointment of like, what else is here for me? Like, what else, am I going to be just work in an elevator my whole life? I'm like, I'm going to be yet another secretary that's going to be replaced. I'm going to be yet another, this cog in the wheel. Yeah, exactly. And I think like that is
very real.
Yeah. And
she's 21.
Yeah.
So
or she's a little older, I think, isn't she?
I thought when
I
thought when her brother-in-law came in there and she hadn't come home the night before.
Said you're over 21.
Oh, I thought
because you're over 21.
Oh, okay.
But I think she's a little older. Because at one point he says,
the brother-in-law?
No,
Baxter.
Baxter.
Uh-huh.
Cece Baxter. He says to her, this part I found very creepy.
I'm listening.
He's so
Oh,
at one point he starts talking, he asks her out and he's like, oh, you're going to do these things. And he basically like looks up her medical history.
Yes. It's
another reason HR departments were invented.
So it's an insurance. He works in insurance.
Yep.
And so he looked up where she lives, who her family is, her height, that she had her appendix taken out.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually just kind of casually comes back with just like, oh, don't let the people know that you know that. He's like, well, why not? He's like, because I don't want them to make up a reason why you already know that. I don't want people to think how you figured that out.
Yeah.
Like they were in a relationship and stuff. And I'm just like, red alert, lady. Red alert.
Yeah. He's a little,
It's kind of strange, is that?
But it's like the way that it's presented is that this is actually very sweet because he has shown, like he is unlike, like, so you see him in contrast with the other men who, she's an elevator operator.
He doesn't grab her butt.
He doesn't grab her butt, you know, always love a man who doesn't grab your butt at work.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't grab her butt. He doesn't like, he says, you know, he's like
he asks
respectful.
her out in nice ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, how would you like to have dinner? Instead of just like, hey, Fran.
Hey.
It's Fran.
Yeah.
Fran.
Yeah, Fran.
He calls her by her last name.
He is respectful and sweet. He like compliments her on how she does her job.
And it's funny now because
not like what she looks like in a uniform.
There's so many Facebook memes where it's just like, hey, gentlemen, you know, that whole like, I don't treat women like crap and I don't do this. How can I get a girlfriend? I'm like, oh, you've treated women like human beings that, you know, we're not a prize, right? It's like, check off, did not sexually harass her. Yeah. Check off, did not follow her home. Check off, where is my prize?
It's problematic that we're suggesting this, being that romantic movie podcasts are, romantic movies are the other, this one, I mean.
It's a stalking manual.
It's a stalking manual. Yeah, it's
women
terrible.
will be flattered by that.
Yeah.
Pull her hair and chase her and call her fat. That means he likes you.
Yeah. So
I saw that part of he's just not that into you.
Oh, okay. Because maybe we should do that. I just like, I don't know. I thought.
No, it's okay. Also context.
Yeah.
I remember reading that so many women were upset with Billy Wilder for this movie because he's making a movie about extramarital affairs and, you know, taking lovers and, you know, all this other stuff. And they're just like, how dare you? And I get that because a lot of the times the earlier periods are painted as the good old days where this and this didn't happen. And back in my day, we didn't have all of this stuff. Well, no, we did. We just didn't talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Because, I mean, it was obvious that you did.
Yeah.
You obviously did talk about it because it was an acceptable part of, like, acceptable part of, like, corporate life.
Well, except for women were elevator. Actually, I was surprised that the women were elevator operators. I assumed that, you know, they would be, I don't know, actually, I'm not so sure, but it's just like they're the secretaries, they're the, oh, let me point this out to you. This sounds horrible. The fact that Baxter was promoted to executive assistant, and I'm like, isn't that stereotypically a female role? But you got secretaries, and then you have executive assistants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. But then again, of course, now we don't have secretaries anymore.
Yeah.
Now they're administrative assistants.
Yeah. So I mean, this was I think it was like, he's basically like this guy's right-hand man.
Yeah. As opposed to like picking up his laundry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is what he had the secretary do. But yeah, so I think, and this was...
I want to talk about that secretary, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So go ahead. What else was I getting at? Oh, like reception, not the operators, you know, and all this other stuff. It's just like you got the women, you know, the stereotypical women in the typing pool. It's like, this is what they get to do. They can't do anything with thinking.
Yes,
or any high-level decision making.
They have to take care. They're taking care of people.
Yeah.
Like they're and they're sort of there for candy. Like it's like they talk about eye candy. Talk about they're there kind of, you know, like the secretaries have to be cute. Like there's definitely this whole thing of like, oh, the secretaries are, you know, like that's, you know, if they're not like into it, they're kind of prudes. Like the way that they talk about women, it's definitely of a time. And this is the nice, it's like Jack Lemmon is sort of presented as the opposite, because he doesn't really pick up women. he
Despite
doesn't.
the fact what his neighbors think.
Yeah, despite the
Poor
despite
guy.
his doctor.
Is that the
his doctor
comedy of
neighbor.
errors situation where it's
Yeah.
like, haha.
But also, like, he was really takes great pains to deal with the like her her reputation. You know, he wants to
he really
promote
does.
this idea. Like, he's a like, you know, it's funny they talk about being a mensch. There's also a lot of Yiddish in this movie. They talk about being a mensch. And that he's at one point he's like, you should be a mensch, and it's like it's so obvious he's a mensch,
Right.
Like, he is truly a mensch.
The comedy of errors situation. Well, in a manner speaking,
Like,
yes.
he's such a sweet
Yeah.
guy who that goes out of his way for other people.
But he himself also says that he was using those guys. You know, they're using
Yeah.
me for my room, and definitely he's in the less power position. But
Yeah.
he's also trying to get ahead in the office. So,
Yeah.
but then again, that's just another step of his, like, you know, see, I was using them. I got my position.
Yeah.
So-
But it's like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, they're eating into his private life, and I think that's where.
I know
At the end of the movie, everything like that shifts.
I know that most of the movies we describe where I'm just like, oh, I hate that guy so much. It's just so easy to say, that's the point. You are supposed to hate him. I'm like, yeah, but I still hate him.
Yeah.
I still want to punch him
kinda
in
fun.
the face and tell his wife to go punch
So
him.
talk about the secretary.
Oh, okay. So I have just like a lifetime of just like female competition situations. So
Yeah.
the secretary comes up and it's just like, oh, the latest in the thing. And I'm like, she's spying and she's listening in on his phone calls and all this other stuff. And I'm just
And then
like,
you understand why.
and then I understand why, but it's still not the best. And it's just, again, I'm still trying to flip the whole naturally ingrained women are competition situation because, you know, it's right in front of me. And so now watching this movie it's just like, well, she got a little bit of drunk. She got a little drunk and then kind of slipped the tongue. She, you know, can't even remember the position that was code for something. She's like, I used to be the manager from Seattle. So
yeah, it was like basically that was the excuse he would tell his wife.
yeah, exactly.
And so basically, he just like, Mr. Sheldrake uses Fred MacMurray. It was played by Fred MacMurray. He's great. Mr. Sheldrake is so awful because basically the first time, and this is what's great about this movie is the structure of it because you get introduced to people.
way too many people.
A lot of people, but you get introduced to people and
Larry Tate from Bewitched,
yes,
which is weird. I'm like, what is Mr. Tate doing?
He's such a great actor. He like you get introduced to people in all these great ways. Like you first see, like when you first see him, he's basically trying to win Miss Kubliak back.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, I mean, but like when you first meet, of course, you know he's awful. But when you first meet him, like you see why, like he just seems like totally a normal sort of nice guy, and then. Because he's not one of the guys who gets the apartment. There's the other guys, right?
Yeah, the
And
ones
at
that
first-
are blatantly slimy.
Yeah, but when you first meet him, he's basically like, "I want you back," to Miss Kubliak, to Fran Kubliak, Kubliak. Why am I spacing? I'm just terrible at her name right now. Kubliak, and he. And you see him and he's just basically like, do you know what she's saying, you know what? I know what this was. And I'm getting too attached. Like, that's kind of clear. Like
she
like,
had like some really good perspective on it.
Yeah.
And was trying to, remove herself.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
then,
very commendable.
Yeah. And then because basically she's like, okay, I don't want to be that.
Speaking, yeah.
I don't want to be that. It's never going to happen. I know that. But then she sees this idea of him as, but then he just like tries so hard to say, he's like, what has this been like for me being in that elevator with you all the time? And you really kind of believe it. And then it's like,
he's very charismatic.
Yeah. And then it, you find out later, like, oh, he is, like when he finds out about the apartment, this apartment being available, you think he's going to fire Baxter, but instead he, because he seems so kind of, together, morally. Like upright, and then you see him and he's like, oh, he's just a man in love, and that's the problem. And then you're like, oh, okay. You slowly find out, kind of like the way she found out.
Try to see this from my position, Fran. I can't just leave my wife.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. I mean, it's Christmas, the in-laws are visiting.
I mean, I can't just sit down and tell my wife I want a divorce.
How else are you supposed to do it? Yeah. And then when she actually does throw him over because the other secretary, he fires the secretary.
That's one of the other notes. Yeah. So the secretary that I mentioned earlier, she sees what's going on, and because she said something at the Christmas party, Fran is upset, which means what is his name again? Mr. I hate him.
Sheldrick?
Yeah, it means that she spent the whole evening crying, and so therefore he couldn't get any. So... Yeah. So he finds out that his secretary was the reason that happened, and he fires her. And I wrote down, yes, fire your bitter ex-lover.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Excellent idea.
Nothing bad could ever happen.
No.
Yeah, oh, she's calling the wife.
Yeah.
I'm happy that the wife believed her. Because
how
easy is it for the wife to just be like, well, I got a pretty good thing going on here, so...
I think it's interesting. The wife goes to meet her in the city. Yeah. So it's not like she is like, I'm going to come to you. Like, she clearly, the wife is like, oh, I want to hear this.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to take a train into the city.
Right.
To find this out.
And it just makes me wonder, though, clearly...
From White Plains.
Well, clearly she didn't know about it, because there are some of the wives that have an inkling and they decide there's like this don't ask, don't tell policy. I have a good thing going here. But no, because it was just that quickly, you've been cheating on me, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Like, she packed up stuff.
So she actually
and he's
like,
the he's like, isn't that funny?
Yeah, isn't it? It's just so
like,
strange.
It's, what was it that he said? It's like, it's the darndest thing,
Isn't it ironic?
So I don't know, but there's all these sweet scenes of, of him, Baxter taking care of Fran.
When Fran overdoses sleeping pills, fortunately he lives next door to a neighbor, but one of the things...
To a doctor.
To a neighbor who is a doctor, and he was able to do that. There's the scene that I alluded to earlier where the doctor's version of that, he has her, I guess the current version of having her stomach pumped, he induces vomiting in her, and then he makes her walk around and shoves coffee down her throat to keep her awake, and he smacks her a lot. I read the IMDb trivia on that, and apparently they had real doctors on set, and apparently he was not slapping her hard enough, but they refused to. And I'm just like, this is really hard as it is. Wake up, Fran, whack. Yeah.
And then he does it like over and over and over again.
I know, right? It's just, wake up, Fran, whack.
Yeah. So. And then she's like, she had her stomach pumped. I'm like, you can have your stomach pumped in an apartment?
No, the version of it of inducing vomiting. And yeah. I was like, does the guy have Ipecac?
Maybe. Charcoal.
Oh, does that work?
Yeah. Because
so
it
like
absorbs
briquettes?
the toxins. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Please
consult your doctor.
Yeah. Do not try to pump your own stomach in a walk up in the Upper West Side. Just don't.
Then again, how much is your rent in the Upper West Side right now? $90 a month?
Oh my God, that was that was nice. Cool. Yeah.
So there's
very cute apartment.
I thought it was nice and large, and the neighbors, and I don't know. I always want okay. So okay. So there's a lot going on here.
Yes.
In the end, we've got Baxter turning his back on that because once again, his position is basically threatened when his now boss has said, like, well, my wife left me, so give me the key.
Yeah.
No, I don't want
And then he's like, you're not going to play ball?
You're not going to. Yeah, I know, right?
I thought you were really smart. And it's like, and this is the great thing is like, you never see anyone actually doing their work. Like he actually comes in to try to say like, hey, I have these projections. And like, you know, he's like, okay, all I needed to, like, I belong here.
Yeah.
I played along long enough and now I'm here. and
That makes him
now I can
doubly
take
smart.
care. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like, and it's New Year's Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes in and he's like,
And he wants to talk numbers.
yeah. And he's like, all he wants to do is think about the apartment,
Ugh.
which is really gross. And he's demanding that like on New Year's.
Yeah.
And it's so I think that's when it's like, this isn't worth it. Like, I've lost the girl,
Mm-hmm.
which, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of on her. She wasn't who I thought she was. But, you know, that's fine. She wants to date someone who's, you know, this is the guy she was actually in love with.
And now there was an opportunity for her to be with him scot-free, but
Yeah.
to be fair, he also said like, well, you know, I mean, yeah,
I want to play Bachelor for a while.
he says that to Baxter.
Yeah.
But he says to her, it's like, well, it's probably a good idea if we get the divorce over first, and then we can, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
Yeah. And the 6 weeks in Reno.
what's up with I want to play Bachelor for a little while? I'm just like, why would you commit to anybody if you just want to play around? Is it like socially acceptable to, what, you know?
Well, I
was
think it's this idea that like women, I mean, they keep putting, you know, I think it's this idea that like the kind of the goal, like you put up with women to get sex.
Oh, no. See, now I'm thinking of freaking Glenn Guglia from The Wedding Singer. And it's just like, well, you know, she deserves it.
Yeah.
She's been around this long.
Yeah, she's been around this long.
I know she's not after my money, so yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to marry her? It's like,
Yeah. Like it's just kind of, it seems like they're also playing this weird game when they're like, oh, well, I want this person. And so I have to tell her what she wants to hear in order to get her in bed. Like, I don't want to cause a problem. I don't want to have a fight because then she'll spend the whole night crying.
yeah.
It's weird and it doesn't work and it's not worth it.
I'm not going to ask how that works. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work. But
Okay.
they end up together in the end on New Year's Eve, playing gin rummy.
A callback to when she was still in recovery.
Yeah. And he was trying to keep her awake by playing gin rummy, which
her
he's
occupied.
super into.
And he's really good at.
Yeah. I
don't-
don't know. I've never played gin rummy.
Well, no, I mean, like, after 2 hands, gin, I'm like, that's, I don't know what's happening with those cards. I think she should shuffle next time.
She does shuffle.
Gin again.
She knows that, and she shuffles.
Weird.
It's,
Okay.
And they just like, they have such a lovely moment together. And like, there's something so at one point he makes her dinner. So she's been at his house for 2 days and he makes her dinner.
Yeah.
And this is one of these like totally sweet like moments where he makes her dinner and he's like, I'm a good cook. And
He's resourceful.
He's very resourceful. Yeah. He makes spaghetti.
And uses a tennis racket as a strainer.
I love like the way he deals with the loose strands. It's awesome.
It's pretty good.
Oh, he's great. And then he makes meatball jokes. And that were tennis related, which I appreciate. It didn't go where you thought it was going to go. It was a tennis related meatball joke. So so he's doing that, and he is just like a super lovely guy, and then the brother comes.
The brother-in-law, yeah.
The brother-in-law, sorry. The
brother-in-law.
the overprotective overprotective brother. Though, to be fair, she's not been home for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And the overprotective brother-in-law comes and basically he knows that it's kind of over, but this person's been in his life, and so suddenly he's got a taste of what it's like to share his life with another human being, and he just likes it so much.
And he says as much as well.
Yeah.
At a different point in the movie.
Yeah.
When he's at I forget actually. There's a lot of this movie, especially for a first time watching.
Yeah, there's a lot. And it goes like, it's about paced well, I think, for a 2-hour movie.
Oh, sure. But I'm just saying that as for the first time that I saw it, I don't have like the full thing and I have to take it all in as it comes.
Totally.
So I'm going to open up to you then,
Yeah.
as someone who has seen it multiple
Yes.
times. When did they fall in love?
So I think he has I think he's had a crush on her for a very long time, but I think he really, like I think maybe when she, I think when he's just kind of taking care of her and watching her sleep, and there's just a point where when she falls asleep, I think that's when he falls really hard.
Okay.
Because he, she, he's playing gin rummy, he's taking care of her, and then he's just, he's sort of watching her sleep. And instead of going into the couch, he basically falls asleep in this chair.
Mm-hmm.
So he can kind of watch over her.
Okay.
So I think that's when he really goes from having like a crush to falling in love, because the idea of like having this, being able to really like care about another human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though he takes care of her, like he's it's very much like he's genuinely trying to take good care of her, not like, he's even thinking like, okay, she's going to want to talk to Mr. Sheldrake. Mm-hmm. And that's very important to him, even though he has these feelings for her. Like it's a very kind of selfless sort of caring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when they fall in love. I think when like they're making dinner together.
Okay.
That maybe she falls in love with him.
Okay. You think that's what it is then? All right.
Yeah, I think that like
I can see the gears turning in your eyes right now.
Yeah. No, I think that's it.
Wow.
That's when
okay.
She falls in love with him.
Yeah. All right. I myself am pinpointing it to when, they're downstairs. You slowly see his name getting put up in the display board underneath Mr. Sheldrake. He's the executive director of blah blah. I don't remember, and his name C.C. Backstra underneath as his assistant executive, whatever. I don't care. And you see him
of human resources.
Well, he's bad at it then.
Yeah,
at that party. When he's talking to Fran, and he's telling her, "See, I was just using him the whole time," and she's explaining about what's happening, about the period of time and the divorce situation, and she's just gonna take it slow. Nothing's happening just yet. He points out this other person that he says he has a hot date with, or he has a date with, though, and then you see her leave, and he walks, and as he's walking towards the woman, you see that he walks right by her as she's waiting for somebody else. And it's when he points that out to her and says,
I'm fine.
I have a date, and he just lets her walk out. That's the moment when he just, decides to say, I'm doing good. You do your thing. That's the moment to me.
Really?
Because it's when he
nice.
decided to let her go.
Yeah.
And it's getting thrust back into his face when Sheldrake is asking for the apartment again. That's just when it explodes in his head. It's like, one thing is, I love her, I'm letting her go. The next thing is just like, I love her, fuck you.
Because like before them, he marches up to Mr. Sheldrake's office and is basically like, I'm going to marry this woman.
Doesn't get to even say that though. Yeah.
But that's like his, entire thing.
Yeah. Oh crap.
And he has that thing where he gets punched and he's like, she kissed me.
I think
she kissed him on the forehead.
It's weird.
And he kind of like fades.
See, again, I'm still digesting this movie. So I'm going to say that my moment stands. That even though he said it out loud and he was going to declare his love to Mr. Sheldrake, which also I don't like that she's being treated like a transaction in that particular scene. No. But I'm going to go with, it still stands that he thinks he is, but he actually is when he lets her go. I win.
Okay.
No, but that's him.
No, I win.
With her.
What do we win?
With her, I'm going to go with a little bit more of a that she didn't fall in love with him in this movie, but she decided to open herself up to the possibilities of him when she found out that he stood up to Sheldrake and like, wait, what now? He did this and that. Okay, and then she runs off. There's a lot of running on New Year's.
There's a lot of running on New Year's.
In movies that we watch.
Yes, Harry Met Sally.
I was just thinking, oh my God.
I feel like running on New Year's is a classic because you need to get there before midnight.
She wanted the rest of her life to happen.
Plus, like New York, watching people run in New York.
Wow.
That's like, I think, a theme.
We
need a theme.
We need to find a third movie to finish the trilogy.
Running in please somebody
running in New York for your love for New Year's.
There's got to be more.
New Year's Eve, the movie New Year's Eve.
Is there a movie? Oh, of course there is.
There's got to be at least one person running.
I haven't seen it. I have no idea. It doesn't appeal to me.
So she didn't fall in love with him in the movie, but she opened herself up to the possibility.
So you think okay? So she didn't,
because she actually didn't say it at the end. He tells her, "I love you," and she says,
"Yeah." She says, "No, let's play."
Well, I don't think she says that, but
let's play, like deal.
Wasn't it?
She
shut
says
up and
deal. She said, "Shut up and deal."
Okay,
but I think then she started. But basically, it's.
I like that look.
But the way she says it, yeah. I think she's like, this is different, and I don't want to.
I've made mistakes in previous relationships, so I'm going to guard my heart.
Yes.
This time around, despite the fact that while this person has proven to be a better person than in my previous relationships, it's probably a better idea to get to know him, considering he knows so much about her.
I think also, yeah. I think he should give her a peek at his HR records too, just to be fair.
Does she have that? I don't think she has access to that.
Well, no, she doesn't, but he should.
I think they both have no jobs and are starting.
Oh wait, doesn't she still have a job at that point?
I don't know. She didn't show up that one day. She didn't report.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if that caused.
They were very casual about that.
Well, it's like 7,000 people that work there. So.
Yeah.
So they're both unemployed, but then again,
I don't think she's unemployed.
Okay, fine. He's out of a job,
but I don't know. Now.
She is concerned about her future, but it's a gigantic question mark because she just walked away from what she thought she'd be doing the new year to something new. So then again,
yeah. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
You're asking me. Damn it, I was lobbying that to you.
All right, no, I can do it. This movie, like, it just makes me...
Are you fuzzy right now?
I'm super fuzzy. It makes me so fuzzy. And I was watching this with my husband. I got super fuzzy.
Brag.
He's just lovely. My husband. And
I've met him.
And
he is a sweetheart.
Yeah. And Jack Lemmon, and CeCe Baxter, and but not Mr. Sheldrake. He's awful. We hate him so much. He's such a snake. He's a snake in the grass. I just think he's like, I think they're gonna have a chance because I think that they kind of share a similar outlook. Like I think the whole thing is that they're in the same stage of their lives and they're going to figure this out together. And they sort of have a base to go from, which is basically like, they want some security. They want to have a place in the world, but they're like, they've both learned that the price that they've been paying is too high. Right. So I think they're going to figure this out together. And they're hopefully a 2, income kind of family.
I can see that.
I don't think that they're going to have, and I think they just adore each other. I think they have a similar sensibility. They want to, they want to have a life together. And I think they're gonna figure it out. I think they're gonna, I don't know if he's gonna like stay in New York. She's got more family, so maybe like they'll stay in New York. I think he'll probably they'll get a job doing, something else. hopefully he'll get a job like in a smaller, more mom and pop kind of company, maybe not make a ton of money, but he's gonna like, maybe they'll move to like, Brooklyn or, closer to the family. I think I don't know. I hope they have kids, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have kids.
What's really
not sure why.
You know what I think is that
I think they're going to enjoy each other for a little while.
I think so as well. And I think Baxter, as a guy who...
I do think they're going to get married very quickly.
He wanted to move up very quickly. He decided to just sidestep his way to get there. And not in a way that's like smarmy or underhanded. If anything, it just kind of presented himself, and he's just like, I'm going to run with this despite the fact that this is not the best, but it's also not my business.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run with it. He conveniently turns the other way when it kind of comes up to it. I mean, until it actually has to face him in the face when it's
like what it really is.
One of the women who
because you always see him like he's always having to go to these extreme measures, like walk around, like at one point he like actually gets into bed, and or he has a cold and he's like, I just want to go home. And like this idea of this office life permeating, your home and your health and your desires, after hours, like kind of above and beyond, is sort of the prevailing, theme of this movie, that they're they're invading him in this very, intimate way and demanding things of him. And he's just a cog. And I think that he also realized, like, you're like, how do you distinguish yourself with 7,000 employees?
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that. And I think that's where I agree with you, is that he is going to take that work ethic, and also his, like, even when he had a cold, he was able to like juggle information and ideas about trying to switch appointments with, granted, he's doing it for people so they can, have sex in his apartment. But, he's got work ethic. He's a quick thinker.
Yeah.
He's good in a crisis.
Yeah.
And he's still managing to stay on his toes, trying to protect one person for another for another situation, despite the fact that one person is dying and the other person's just like, well, I'm sorry, but it's Christmas. I can't do anything about this right now.
Yeah.
And he's so I think what's going to happen is that he'll find a smaller company that will be able to work with that. And
where he can actually like contribute, not just his apartment. Because
it's going to be a smaller shop, so therefore these people aren't about having affairs with their wives. It's going to be a shop of some kind where the husband and wife have to work together.
Oh yeah,
kind of. Similarly to like something.
Moonlight.
Not Moon. I was about to say yes, Moonstruck.
Yeah, Moonstruck. My God, I do this every time. Moonstruck.
Yeah, no, similarly like a Moonstruck situation.
A Moonstruck type situation.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's going to parlay that
or maybe he'll just be like a roving CPA, and he'll work for a lot of these small companies.
Well,
he's in insurance. So
I was about to say he was in insurance, so Polina.
But maybe he'll become a CPA
on behalf of various other
people. Maybe
she'll
do work, and then he'll get his like CPA license.
She's gonna learn to spell with his encouragement.
Yes, she does not know how to spell
because she can type like a storm.
Yeah, but she couldn't.
She can't spell. He's gonna teach her how to. Well, he's gonna help her with spelling, and then she's going to do well in her area. They're gonna be good for one another.
Yeah.
They're gonna grow with one another. I think they're gonna stay together.
I don't think it's gonna be perfect. Like, I think they're gonna go through some, they're gonna go through some times, but like I think that
the fact that
will be okay.
They started off on rocky times.
Yes.
Gives them kind of a better foundation of just kind of smoothing it out.
Also, I think that they've seen each other. Not just the suicide in the worst, but sort of this idea that like they've sort of seen each other debase themselves in a way.
Well,
he's going out of his way to please his boss, and so I think in a weird way they've already seen the sides of each other that they're not proud of.
Also,
there's like an honesty there.
He's so quick to lie to his neighbors about things that are happening and just taking a bad story. but he tells her how quickly it's just like, oh no, there's no reason to be ashamed about you trying to kill yourself. I tried it.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this is not a funny. Oh, he's serious. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Whoa.
And then he's like, I got over, like, it took me much longer to get over the accidental gunshot wound
Then the heartbreak.
than the heartbreak.
Yeah. So I think that's, when he opened himself up that way. Ooh, maybe that's my answer.
Ooh, maybe that's when he fell. Because he realized
when he decided to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
So yeah. He's
Okay.
a mensch.
They're gonna be good together. I don't think they're gonna have kids.
I kind of don't either, actually.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's on their radar. I mean, he wasn't even looking at sharing his life with anyone on his radar, so I don't think kids.
But it almost seemed like he's like, oh, I kind of can't because I'm not good enough. Like, I don't know. He just always seemed.
He strikes me as the working man.
Yeah,
and that's
he was wearing a bowler. Did you notice that?
I did see the bowler, and then he dumped the bowler.
Yeah, because the bowlers. It's the sign of the everyman.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
There it is.
Is the movie.
We did it.
We did. I really, really like this movie.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
If you have thoughts on The Apartment, if you also have like it on your top 10 movies of all time, we want to hear from you.
Or if you're like, why does everyone like this movie? It's really strange and kind of uncomfortable.
Then we want to know when you saw it. And
yes.
Is it like context? Is it, 1960s? Aren't now. So certain things.
They're not now.
No. But Shirley MacLaine is still amazing.
But Shirley MacLaine is still amazing. Jack Lemmon is still amazing. And two people looking at each other that way, still amazing.
Shut up and deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So reach out to us. We are on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath.
We are.
We're on Twitter at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
If you want any long form or private thoughts, you can reach us at Comcast. What the heck? Contact at HEAMCast.com. If you like us, please tell a friend. That's how we can get into other people's ears, be introduced. It really helps us out.
It really, really helps us out.
Really
and we love all reviews. They
please
make us verklempt.
Wait, no, please don't test that by giving us a really, really, really mean review and then make us cry.
That's true. Well, then we'll be verklempt, but in a different way.
Mensch. And what other words can we throw out there?
Yiddish words?
All I have are like the bad ones. Dang it.
There's a lot of Yiddish words.
Mensch.
Mashugana. I could do this all day, but I won't because people will be very bored. That's the weird thing about living on the West Coast. Just not as much Yiddish.
Sorry.
That's all right. I live here. I'm happy here. I don't want to go back.
You want to get some brisket?
Of course I want to go get brisket.
I found the way. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for joining us again.
That's Yiddish, but I do enjoy brisket.
Wait. What? No, I wasn't being Yiddish. I was just
really wanted brisket.
Want brisket.
That sounds really good. Let's go out for brisket.
And we're done.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Next time on the podcast, we're going to be joined by Heidi Bennett of Vibrant Visionaries, Spinal Tap Minute, and Cabin Minute Cast to discuss her pick, 4 Friends from 1981.